So I made around 4 months ago a video about me ranting about DBD events, with the main focal points being that the offerings are always worse than normal BP events, the lack of good BP gain for most events, and just their existence. Cosmetics that return every single year, so you don't really have a reason to grind them unless you want to save $4. And the event themselves not changing the core gameplay. So does the current 2025 Blood Moon event fix any of that since the winter event that we had for 2024? The offerings are still worse than the normal BP offerings, especially in this event where killers don't have much to do. You might as well just run a normal one. I'm not even queuing the event mode anymore, so that's the one benefit they did to events, is that you don't have to queue the event mode. The BP gain needs to be earned for this event, and the community probably isn't going to hit it this time because of the event itself, which we'll get into in a moment. Currently, at the time of recording this, we are at 150% incentive. We're at 6 out of 10 million needed for 200%. But then it goes to 22.5 million, and 35 million, and then 50 million. There is no way we hit 50 million, and I would 100% foresee behavior lowering this quote-unquote soon. And then the cosmetics are still limited time. They're still keeping limited time cosmetics. There's cosmetics for Claudette. There's cosmetics for Tori, Houndmaster, Artist. And then the Knight helmet from last year actually got a full body piece outfit that looks pretty cool. And then there's some like special weapons that, compared to other events, it's actually half of the amount that you normally get, because instead of 6 per side, it's only 3 per side. I think it's Kate, Hattie, and Adam that got it for Survivor. And then on Killer, it was Hag, Singularity, and Clown. However, it was leaked that like Dredge, Plague, and some other killer got one, and then on Survivor it was leaked that Hinato, Gabriel, and someone else got one as well, and then those just don't exist this time around. But the important part, and what I want to talk about today, is does the event gameplay itself fix the issue that prior events have had, where the gameplay of the event does not matter for the event mode itself? And the answer is surprisingly it does. So the way that the event works this time around is that last year you formed like these little blood circlets, and then those would increase your lunge and help you stealth around in Survivor. Those no longer exist. Instead, the mechanic of the Blood Moon this time is these blood generators, where you have to go find a gas pump, fill it up with a blood can, and then take it to the blood gen, and then pour it in. And that's it for like event gameplay. It's all Survivor side. Killers don't really have anything. You can kick cans of Survivors, drop them, but they don't have to drop them, and most never do. But the gameplay itself actually does. It is a core part of the match. You have to do it to progress the game. You have to actually play the event mode for it. It's actually unique, and you have to interact. A big issue with the Halloween one and the Christmas one, where it was just snowballs and snowmen, you didn't have to do the Hollow Blight, you didn't have to do the snowballs, and you didn't have to do the snowmen. None of that mattered, and as Killer, it was too much of a time investment if you're facing a team that's still like, somewhat playing to win and not farming, which most teams don't. So surprisingly, this does fix that core problem. The problem with this event, as I'm sure many people have seen, is that the gens are really poorly implemented. So for those that don't know, nothing gen related for normal generators works on the blood gens. From powers to items to perks, none of that works on it. So if you run Surge and you queue up the event mode, take off Surge. Doesn't function. If you like to play Pig, queue normal mode, because in the event mode, her traps don't turn on if a blood gen pops. It has to be a normal gen, and they only have to do 1 normal gen per the round, but they can do 4 blood gens. Plague just can't infect them, like etc, etc, etc. Anything you can think of that is reliant on gens from Brutal Strength Fire Up to Pig's Power does not work. And why is that an issue for the event? It's supposed to be a silly, funny little game mode, things like that. The problem is that a lot of people say, oh, DBD is a party game. Oh, I play DBD for this reason. I play it for this reason. I like to just have a silly little fun time. Like it or not, people still like winning. A lot of people from older DBD 2016 and 2020, old DBD, half the game's lifespan, they liked playing Survivor, because Survivor, you could goof around, you could have fun, but you could still win kind of easily. And then they started changing that, and now it's a lot harder to win, and a lot of people have dipped to the game for that reason, or they become less interested, things like that. So the problem with the Blood Moon is that it's easier for survivors to win again. It takes, from the blood pump, you can get 1 gas can, and then as you sprint, it loses energy and whatnot. but you only need to do it 3 times per bludgeon, and then the bludgeon pops, and there's 4 survivors. There's a lot of RNG on this. If you're on Midwich, it's awful. It is miserable to do, because sometimes the gas pumps all spawn in the middle of the map, but all the bludgeons are in the corners, so you have to go up the stairs, and by the time you get there, your gas can's like half empty. But on most maps that aren't 2 floors, or aren't indoors, or don't have that level of geometry on them, it is really common to find a blood pump that's 2 feet away from a blood gen and then just crash out that one gen immediately. And it sucks because it's like, what does the killer do? So you get 4 blood gens per, like, you can do 4 blood gens, right? So there's 3 normal gens, and then every other generator is a blood gen. So you have to do 1 normal gen to progress the game. The blood gens go by so fast, you just rush the normal gen first, because that's the only one you actually have to try doing. And the rest of them, it's like the killer has 1 bad chase, they just lose. So if you're a killer, you have to play near perfection, which isn't possible on a lot of the weaker killers. For Clown and Trapper, you just can't keep up with that level of speed. So all the killers are playing the high level killers, or Singularity and Sadako, because their powers are killer related items, and you can't carry a killer item and a gas can at the same time, so a lot of people are playing those 2. But otherwise it's like Nurse, Billy, Blake, the Ghoul, who's the newest S tier, things like that. Oh boy, so like obviously you can see where the issue is that since everyone's forced into the high tier killers and they have to play a bit mean or like immediately tunnel off the bat, the survivors aren't having fun against that, so they're not playing the mode. But since Survivor's the stronger role, none of the like weaker killers are playing the mode because it's not fun. And then it's a constant feedback loop. And all in all, this sucks for the event as a total, because the only way that we progress, and this goes into why I said we are not going to hit it earlier, the only way we can progress to get more of the Bloodpoint multiplier is by people playing the event mode. But since no one wants to play the event mode because it's not fun, we're not hitting the 500%. And the sooner we hit the 500%, the better, because then everyone gets 500% bonus BP. Plus whatever offerings you bring. So if you stack with friends and then the killer brings something, it's like plus 1000% BP, which is insane and would be really, really nice. But we're not going to hit it because no one's playing the mode. The other issue with the event that a lot of people, as I said earlier, nothing gen related works. And if you look at any tier list, what are the best killer perks? What does every killer, if possible, is allowed to run? It's all gen stuff, because gens are a common aspect that every killer has to play. Not every killer has to kick a pallet. Not every killer has to vault windows. Not every killer even has to hook people. Some killers just slug the entire game, like Billy and Singularity. So the only common perks are the gen perks. But since you can't use any gen perks in the mode, some killers literally get like 2 perk slots, because there's not much else to use. I play Hunty, right? I mostly use Aura Reading and Agitation, 2 very, very good perks. A lot of other Huntress mains run like Corrupt and Pain Res and things like that, which are just no longer usable. So what are killers running instead that are good? Well, it's like Devour, Hope, No Way Out, mostly in-game stuff, but Devour, Plaything, Pentimento, things that get you onto side objectives for totems, things for fast, easy downs. A lot of heavy chase-related perks make chases faster if they're playing like a low-tier killer, but they're all running this stuff on Nurse and Blight and Billy, and it's exhausting. It's not fun to play. It's not interesting. But the problem is that it can work. It can work. It could work. I don't know why, like, I understood when they said no gen stuff is going to work that they meant everything, like from powers to items to offerings to perks, whatever. So I figured Pig would not function in this mode. A lot of other people did not assume that, which that's on behavior for not properly delving into it. But it does bring into question, why did they not include killer powers for the blood gens? That seems like something that would be very, very basic. I could understand Plague's Infection didn't work because it's like a unique power stance. But Pig's traps activate when the counter goes down, and they still affect the gen counter in the bottom left. So instead you're just not getting any Pig traps to activate, which is so weird. Why would you not add that? Like, I could understand not wanting like Surge and stuff to work on them, like things like that, but like powers? It's just a weird mindset. So if behavior, I'm recording this on Tuesday. I'm not sure if I'm gonna upload it later today or tomorrow, but I digress. If there is a patch note where they add gen stuff or they make things work, the mode instantly improves. It instantly becomes a better mode. Or if these come to the base game as like a pre-game early collapse thing, where it's like instead of having to run Corrupt, survivors can go get gas cans. That would help out a lot in the early game. It would make gens more interesting, it would make the gameplay more dynamic, it would let weaker killers get chases in, stronger killers get to knock out more resources, it would let the stronger killers get nerfed into an easier to balance state, things like that, right? So if this is a test run for that, it's fine. And I think everyone can understand that if you just make gen stuff work on them, and then you make them take a little bit longer to actually finish, there's a bit of back and forth we could do, really make sure that the gens are well made. It becomes fine. It becomes a good mode. A lot of people's frustration, though, and the main frustration that I think I'm going to have, is that they took up an event slot to test this out. I would have loved if this was like a 3-day modifier for people to try, with like maybe like a small 500% incentive or something. Get people in the mode, get people trying it, get people talking about it. Instead, it's going to be 3 weeks of this, with probably no patches for it, because we have a PTB 1 week away from today. It's April 15th. That is going to be PTB with a new survivor and probably the rest of the quality of life stuff before anniversary hits with FNAF, right? So none of this is probably going to get changed. So it's 3 weeks of this for them to test this idea out. And that sucks because Blood Moon is supposed to be the biggest Bloodpoint earning event of the year. It's better than Anniversary. Anniversary is better long-term because you get the offering. Blood Moon's better short-term because it's a lot of fast-paced BP grinding. They even raised the blood cap to 5 million. Why did they not push forward for the faster way to spend BP for the Blood Moon? I don't know. Maybe it's because they knew a lot of people, we wouldn't be getting 500% because the event's not good. I don't know. That's their prerogative. Why didn't they do this as a 3-day modifier? Like, I don't understand their POV on that. Why would you not do that? Because now it's taking up a really, really looked after passionate event. Other small note I want to complain about, I touched on it earlier about the offerings being worse than normal BP offerings. Although people liked last year because the offerings got disabled, which was really funny. They got disabled after like 3 days because they were bad. So everyone was running like their anniversary offerings and BPS and things like that, which made the BP gain insane. And if people did that all the time, where they just commonly ran those BP offerings, it'd be really, really nice for everybody involved. Because then it's just constant 500% bonus BP lobbies. Everyone plays the exact same because it's standard. I'm gonna include it here, but I might make a separate video talking about it again. I made a video like 3 years ago at this point. If people want to go watch it, my editing and video format, and the fact that I don't write scripts for these anymore because I think natural discussion's a lot better about what comes to my head. I made a video like 3 years ago about devotion. Sorry, I hit my microphone. About devotion, where it's like devotion at its core currently doesn't do anything. It's just like a fancy thing, and they raised the BP cap for this event to 5 million to test it out. I made the suggestion back then that they should make it to where the devotion, each devotion you get raises your BP cap by 1 million. I'm devotion 51, so my BP cap would be 53 million because there's a base BP cap of 2 million. That is an exponentially larger growing amount of BP that people can hold. If they want to do like a bigger base pool of BP, that's fine, right? But if we want to make it to where people like aren't worried about like hoarding BP for newer chapters, just make it tied to devotion. The average player is like Devotion 7, so they could hold 9 million. And like, sure, that would get the new killer like P3, P5. Like, okay. They have the perks on everybody. They still have to test it out. It's not going to like greatly, I feel like, decrease. If anything, that would encourage people to buy the chapters because it'd be easier to max out the content that they get. Based on like them previously playing and hoarding blood points for it. For me, I would be able to get new killers up to P50, and that's just something I don't need to do, so I just wouldn't be hoarding that much. Unless they added a faster way to spend BP. In that case, I might stick around like 50 million and then just spend 2 million every single time I hit cap or whatever, and then dump 50 million BP into the new killer. It'd be a P50. That'd be fun. Like, it's only like I have 8k hours for Devotion 51, right? Starva is probably Devotion like 70 or 80, and he's got like probably like 12k hours if I had to guess. So it's like, it's a lot of the dedicated players, the content creators are gonna be the ones that can hoard BP, and we're gonna max out the new shit anyway. Like, just doesn't matter for the average player. Of course, my other thing in that video is I want Devotion to get an extra 10% bonus BP, and I doubt Behavior will ever do that one. Anyway, this was a quick little rant, just figuring Might as well include that, like, this event is a very, very good framework for a future thing. I honestly wouldn't mind if these gens, with some changes, came to the base game. It would honestly be really, really nice, especially if it's, like, makes Survivor a bit more interesting to play. This combined with a few new items on Survivor, like a gas can you could bring in to make the early game process a bit faster, would be really, really cool. It'd add more, like, in-depth strategy if you're playing with friends, or extra tome challenges, which is always a nice ideal. But yeah, I'll try posting more of these discussion videos. I'm working, I don't really do DBD gameplay vids anymore, I mostly just do these. So the next full-length video is going to be Resident Evil 0, and a lot of people who watch that live stream know how miserable that was. I'm just waiting on the thumbnail right now. But I hope everyone has a good day. I'll get this up as soon as possible, and enjoy the Blood Moon for what it's worth. The BP gain is still better than normal.